Hi, I'm Donna Farley with the Daily American Republic, and I am here with the candidates for Ward 5. I have Richard Bruder, Barbara Moreno, and Robert Smith here with me, and we are going to discuss some of the needs for Ward 5 and how they think that they can help better the district. Ward 5 will vote on one person to represent them on the Poplar Bluff City Council in the April election. So we're going to start by having the candidates introduce themselves. Richard?
Hi, my name is Richard Bruder. I work at the Sheriff's Office for the last 15 years. Prior to that, I graduated high school in 2007 here in Poplar Bluff. After graduating high school, I joined the Marine Corps for 4 years before I ultimately came back to Poplar Bluff, and I've been living in Poplar Bluff ever since I've been out of the Marine Corps, and I am ready to make a difference and help my town get cleaner and safer.
Okay. All right, Barbara.
My name is Barbara Moreno. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, but my entire family, my history is from here in Poplar Bluff. I moved here in 1993. I have two boys. I live in Fifth Ward. I've raised my children in Fifth Ward. My entire family literally lives in Fifth Ward. I love Poplar Bluff. I remember coming to Poplar Bluff. We would visit here this was our vacation spot from Houston. And I remember thinking, man, these people, they don't know how beautiful this place is. I bet they don't even appreciate it. And after moving here, I was 18 years old when I moved here. I'm 50 years old now, so I've been here for a while. After moving here, I thought, man, it's beautiful, but it could be better. And I've watched our Fifth Ward, I've watched Poplar Bluff, specifically Fifth Ward, just dwindle down and it's kind of in shambles, and I'm here to make a difference.
Okay. All right, Robert.
I'm Robert Smith. I uh, I moved to Poplar Bluff in 1975 to go to college after military, um, and I worked and lived in the Fifth Ward for all of that time. I uh, I retired from Poplar Bluff School District, and I work part time now for SMTS. And I just want to continue to try and make a difference for Poplar Bluff in the Fifth Ward and throughout the city. I would like to see the area cleaned up a little more. I would like to try to get the people a little bit more involved in it. And for that reason, I'm running once more for city council in the Fifth Ward.
Okay. All right. We discussed a little bit before we got started on what topics we want to address and kind of what order we're going to go in. So, one of the topics that all three candidates agree are important for Ward 5 is the issues with homelessness and housing. And we're going to start with Robert. He's going to kind of introduce the topic for us, but then we're all going to discuss how that's impacting Ward 5 and how it might be improved. So, Robert?
Yeah, I've noticed, especially since 2020, uh, an increase in the homeless population. And I would just like to get the community and the city to come together and try and work to alleviate this problem. You see every day, not just in the Fifth Ward, but all over town, homeless people, and we just can't we just can't sit and watch. We've got to do something about it. And I've tried not to be such a talker, but a doer, trying to get things done. And I've worked hard over the years, and I would like to continue to try and make this happen.
Okay. Okay. So, what are some of the things that you guys have seen in Ward 5, and how do you think the city or the community needs to come together to address this?
So I work for the hospital, and I work directly with behavioral health. What I've noticed in my job is that there is nowhere for them to go once they're released. We get people from all over the United States that are brought here to Poplar Bluffs Behavioral Health. Once they're released, they just let them go, and most of these people don't have a way back home, wherever home is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so they're left here. And I think that's part of the reason why our homelessness issue is so elevated. We do have in place, we have um, the rescue mission, but you have to sign up for a year and it's mainly men. We have Recycling Grace for the women. Um, we have Crossroads, who has helped so many out. In fact, Jimmy Wagner's my cousin.
Okay.
I've worked directly with Crossroads. What we do not have is anywhere for couples or families or people who are not trying to stay here for a year at a time. We need that. And I'm working with someone who may have an answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Richard?
Just to piggyback off Barbara, because she had a good point. A lot of people that get brought to Butler County and they get taken to the hospital, a lot of them are court ordered. They're either suffering from substance abuse or they're down on their luck. And a lot of people see is going to behavioral health and going to these facilities is, I'm not going to be homeless anymore. The thing is, when they get released from behavioral health, they get released to the streets. I believe the non-emergency medical transportation system, which is a Missouri government program, could be utilized more often. And I believe that FCC, these behavioral health places need to be making sure these people come into this county, they don't live here. We're going to make sure we're going to call these people so we get them back to their area because it's a free ride. And I feel like we need to start doing that more often. And also with the rescue mission, a lot of the homeless guys, they're down to luck here, but a lot of the guys I talk to, they're only allowed to stay 2 days a month. So if that is a funding issue, maybe the council or Chamber of Commerce, somebody could reach out like, why are they only allowed to stay 2 days? Can we make it a week? What kind of money do we need or what kind of grants do they need to get? I think that'll help alleviate a lot of homelessness.
So it sounds like there are multiple avenues we need to be looking at, both the resources for people who need housing, but also in the case, because Poplar Bluff and Butler County is a medical hub,
Yes.
making sure that people are coming here for services, have an avenue to be able to return to wherever it is that they need to go.
Yes.
So
I believe it should be a priority to contact that medical transportation company to make sure, hey, this person is getting released this Tuesday. Can we have somebody pick them up to make sure we get them to their town so they're not going to be vagrant just walking down our streets and breaking into our
Absolutely.
homeless houses.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
I agree with that.
All right. All right. And this is a problem, like what you said about no place for families to go.
Right.
I know that the warming shelter has had families come there, and there's just no resources if you've got small children to be able to get help. So
Right.
it's finding somebody who has the heart to take that on, maybe, and the funding. Are there ways that you think the city can help with that?
Well, we're going to talk about the old doctor's hospital. So I met someone at the Grow Our Downtown meeting, the first one, who is very interested. Her father was a surgeon there at the old doctor's hospital, and he's gone, of course, but she is wanting to obtain the building and turn that into a homeless shelter, which would absolutely make a huge difference for all of Poplar Bluff. She initially was going to do it for veterans. You know, she wanted to turn it into a homeless shelter for veterans. But then now she wants to also incorporate the children. I spoke to her. I was like, what we really need is some place for couples and families or people who don't fit on, at the rescue mission or Recycling Grace. We need this because those are the ones that are on our streets right now. They're the ones that are setting up in these derelict houses that have been abandoned and causing problems. I mean, they don't have the resources that they need. And so she's very excited about that. She is in the process of turning it into an incorporation and getting funding specifically for that to happen.
Okay.
So that takes care of two of our problems. One is that old doctor's hospital building, which is awful. It's an eyesore to Poplar Bluff. And it's right there across from FCC, which is perfect for homelessness. So
Yeah, and this transitions into another topic. It was another one that all of the candidates agreed that we should address, and that was vacant buildings, and particularly Old Doctors Hospital.
yes.
So, I, in transitioning over to that conversation, when it comes to Old Doctors Hospital, the individual that you're talking with, have they talked about what kind of resources they would need, what the cost, like the overall cost? Because
Yes.
it seems like that building would be very expensive to rehab.
It is, yeah, and I know Robert and I have spoken about it some
Yeah.
as well. I introduced her to him Monday night
Yeah.
at the city council meeting, um, because I believe in working together. I think that if we're gonna make this happen, we just all need to work together and make it happen. This isn't about me. This isn't about you. It's about we, and so we just need to work together. Um, but yes, she has already grants that she's trying to get. But once she gets the incorporation set, she's already signed paperwork for that.
Mhm.
Then there are specific grants that she can apply for, or that the incorporation can apply for, and it could cover that tearing down the asbestos, all of that
Yeah.
that's in there,
Yeah.
and rehabilitating.
Okay.
But it's my understanding there
Uh,
may be an issue with that. There's something else going on with it.
Yeah, really can't go into it in detail, but there is some litigation going on with that building, uh, and and there's possibly still some asbestos that's not been encapsulated or evaded in that building, and that can be relatively expensive. Although brownfields can help some, but they've got so many projects around.
And Brownfield is a grant program, correct?
Yes,
So
yes,
for those folks who may
and
not know.
basically to help do stuff, taking out and tearing down and removing stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember whenever the old City Hall complex was torn down, was it a few $100,000 for asbestos abatement in that building?
It was several $100,000.
And it was significantly smaller than the structure
Yeah.
that Old Doctors Hospital is.
Yes.
So, Richard, do you want to weigh in on Old Doctors Hospital and its possible use for rehabbing it?
I haven't looked into it enough to use it as a rehab or homeless shelter. I am more for tearing it down and turn it into a green space or something like that. But if the price fits and it actually benefits the city, then I'm for it. But I feel like it's probably gonna be too expensive to make it work.
Cost is definitely a big concern with that. The individual that you've talked with, have they considered maybe other properties if the cost isn't right for Old Doctors Hospital?
I think her heart is set on Doctor's Hospital,
Okay.
but um, she may look at others because
Yeah.
that's where her father worked.
Yeah.
It's special to her, and the location is perfect. For what she's wanting to do, and honestly, it's perfect for our city. So um, I'm hoping, praying that something can be done.
Well, when it comes to the subject of vacant buildings, it's a danger for the community, is what I've heard, and it also impacts people who might be looking to buy a home in a neighborhood or property values. So, what are you guys' thoughts on how we deal with existing vacant buildings and how maybe we prevent the increase of buildings to get to the point where they're not habitable? So.
Right now, the city has a plan on taking care of vacant and derelict buildings, especially houses that are unlivable. Just here recently, in the last few months, I don't have the numbers here with me, but they've disposed of several inhabitable houses, and they're continuing to do so. Although the funding's about to run out, and those are really expensive. To remove a house can be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 per house, depending on the size of it. But the thing behind that is once that you remove this home, you need somebody to put another one there, put a new home there, or I'm for making it a little bit easier to place manufactured homes, not mobile homes, not modular, but manufactured homes in certain areas. I mean, we don't want to just take one area and put them, but if there's a nice lot and we can put a manufactured home there, we need to allow the people to do so because there are some really nice ones. And I think that would kind of help alleviate it. Uh, it won't cure the problem because it's ongoing. And as far as the buildings downtown, we need to put a little pressure on some of the property owners and have them do something about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Barbara and Richard, do you guys want to weigh in on that?
For the derelict properties, are you referencing the burnt down properties that are approximately 4 foot tall rubbles, or are you talking about abandoned properties that are no longer livable?
Just abandoned property. I have a list of properties that we're working on or that they plan to clean up here within the next few months.
So, how does the city determine which properties to tear down first? Is it a matter of maybe more safety concerns or spreading the money out across the different wards? Like, how is that timeline established?
I'm not sure because the Board of Adjustments and State Department, they kind of handle that. And at one time, it was like the house or the property that's been in bad shape for the longest. They try and start with the oldest one.
Yeah.
And I do know too that there are compliance hearings that are held where the property owner can come in, and a lot of times they'll ask for more time to work on the property or say that they've still got a conflict with the insurance company, and so there will be postponements and delays for that reason as well.
And the city will grant you time to do that.
Sort of, I know that a lot of the problem is there are many of these abandoned buildings that the property owners are deceased.
Yeah.
And they don't have anyone to pass them down to. What happens to that property?
Well,
Because it feels like they're just sitting there.
I'm not sure on that. I don't know if that goes through a court procedure or not. But I do know that a lot of them, when the city does do something, they put a lien on the property. But I'm not sure on that.
I think sometimes it can be complicated too by if there are multiple survivors who all inherit. Like if there are 5 children or something like that, then you get even more complicated in trying to work through that legal process.
Right.
One of the questions that I've heard raised in the public is, should we be doing more on the side of making sure properties don't become uninhabitable? Should our building codes be stronger, or should our enforcement be stronger? Is that something that you guys have thought about or would like to talk about?
Absolutely. So my main thing, one of my reasons why I'm running is because I want our area to be beautiful again. I want it to be safe enough for our children to play in the streets. I don't see that anymore. And I used to see that all the time. Just right across the street from me, I have someone who knocked down a house and it's just laying there. It's not, I have no idea if they've been, fined or anything like that, but it shouldn't be left like that. And so I think that it needs to happen. Also, and I will say this, I tend to mow a lot of yards in the summer because I'll mow my yard. My mom lives across the street from me. I mow her yard. My neighbor had cancer. I mowed his yard. The guy had a corner to me, was put in jail, so I mowed his yard because what's the point? And my yard looks good and all these other ones look bad. So I'll just go mow the whole neighborhood. I don't care. I really don't. I'll just mow the neighborhood just to make it look better. Where was I even going with that? So I want
City ordinances and making sure properties stay maintained.
But what I've noticed is Some of the properties that the city owns, they'll only mow their area, their property once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But we're out, and I'm mowing everybody's.
Mhm.
Like, that's not okay with me.
Well, and that
They need to do their job, especially in my area. Just because it's not an upper class area doesn't mean that it gets neglected. That's not okay.
Mhm. Well, and that kind of, we were also going to talk about better maintenance of streets and infrastructures, but I want to make sure, Richard, did you want to talk on this
Yes.
topic first?
In reference to the ordinances, I believe we need to lead by example. And I told Barbara on the phone when I first talked to her about 10 years ago, I had to go to Keelan and I arrested an older lady. She's probably in her 70s. She had a failure to appear warrant for a yard nuisance. And I asked her what the warrant's for, a yard nuisance. She's like, I didn't cut my grass back in 2012. Okay. But behind my property, the city owns, they only cut it once every other year. So if city wants to be writing out these tickets, I feel like they need to lead by example and they need to make sure everybody's being held accountable.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and that does lead into another topic that we had discussed, and that is better maintenance of our streets and our infrastructure. So are there specific streets, specific infrastructure that you guys are seeing that need to be better maintained?
Well, I would say most of them in Poplar Bluff. I know it's funding. It has everything to do with funding. Uh, but we do need to try to allocate a little more money for street maintenance, especially in the last 3 to 4 years. That they've really we've actually lost a few streets. Especially if you go out Shelby Road or Oak Grove Road or even in the Fifth Ward, some streets down through there, Relief and Alice and Valley, those streets are deteriorating fast. So we need to find some way to budget more money for the actual maintenance of those streets. I know a few years ago we came up with a plan. We were trying to have all the gravel streets in Poplar Bluff paved. Well, we've got most of them done, but still a lot more work to be done. So, as a city council person, I would like to try in the coming year to, not this year, but the next year to try and allocate a little more funds for the maintenance of our streets and sidewalks as well. And I would like to make a statement too. The sidewalks are actually the responsibility of the property owner. But I would like to see the city go in and try and help repair them to get started. I mean, they can't do them all. Uncover some of the sidewalks and clean them and fix the broken ones.
Yeah. Are you?
So with that being said, it's all about adding a few more funds to the street department budget.
Okay. All right, Barbara, Richard.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I have a gentleman who, actually, there's two of them that roll up and down my street in their wheelchair, electric wheelchair, and they're in the middle of the road because we don't have sidewalks for him to use. And same way with the children who are waiting at the corner, they don't have a place really to stand. So
Yeah.
it's very important.
Another thing I'd like to see addressed with just the sidewalks in general, the shoplifting and persons stealing grocery carts from either Walmart or Dollar Generals because they always end up in somebody's yard. I'd like to see a more proactive approach by Poplar Bluff Police Department saying, you didn't get that, you didn't purchase a grocery
shopping
cart, take it back, or I'm gonna take it, or I'm gonna charge you for stealing. I'd like to see more of that because I just know going down Kendra Street, there's one by a burnt building. That wasn't the sidewalk, but they just push it in by the burnt pile now. So I'd like to see more proactive approach by police on stealing grocery carts.
And I understand that those cost about $800 or $900 a piece.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense that it would be that expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's normal in a city for the sidewalks to be owned by the resident, the property owner of the home, or
Well, the city or the property developer generally builds the sidewalks. but the maintenance of the sidewalk is up to the property owner.
And I have heard that in Poplar Bluff
If-
before.
If it snows out here, it's your responsibility to clean
Mhm.
the sidewalk in front of your business. It's
Yeah.
not city responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
Right, but if that sidewalk's 100 years old,
Yeah.
you know, and it's all broken up. I mean, most property owners here can't afford to have that, you know, re-concreted. So that's an issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there more you guys want to discuss on this topic? Any specific streets where you're seeing particularly bad needs or other infrastructure beyond streets?
Well, I keep going back to Oak Grove Road and Shelby Road. Uh, uh, those are new streets, and I mean, when I say new, it was less than 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And those streets, they're really bad right now.
Shelby, particularly.
Shelby Road, we did not expect that much traffic
Mm-hmm.
on that street. So I think that we need to kind of try and curtail the commercial traffic.
Maybe do truck
Oh, yeah,
routes.
yeah, get those big trucks off that street. They're supposed to go around the marked highways anyway, but it's a shortcut from 53 up to 67 north or 60 west.
So that's do you think that's exasperating the problem on Shelby?
Yes, that's it. Because it wasn't designed for that much traffic and for that heavier traffic.
Okay. Okay.
It's a great asset to the city.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Back to our neighborhoods, the houses. Fifth Ward, the area that I'm in the poorer area of Fifth Ward. And knocking on doors and just getting to know my neighbors, I found that, I mean, their houses around them, like there's either trash in the yard or the yards are not mowed, or it just looks unkempt. And knocking on doors, I find that there's a lot of elderly people who can't afford yard care. They can afford, they don't have the strength to get out there and pick things up. I would like to see a group, like our neighborhood, come together and just a group of people, just volunteers from the neighborhood. Once a week, we come together and once a week choose a yard to help out, and we'll just all go in and just help out the outside, help clean them up if they need the yard mowed, or if they need something picked up, if they need their hedges trimmed, if they need like a board on their steps fixed, something like that, where we'll just come in and just help each other. That takes pressure off of the city. It takes pressure off of the homeowner. We are actually helping people. We're getting to know our community, and it's about unity. And that's what I'm standing for. Unity in the community. That's what I want to pound in. Unity in the community. Because I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, homeless, a druggie. I don't care who you are. We can all work together and help each other out. And in the end, it helps us all out.
Absolutely.
You know.
And Poplar Bluff has an Adopt a Street program. Maybe this could be an expansion of something like that.
We do have an Adopt a Street program. As a matter of fact, I have 2 streets that I have adopted. One through my Operation Off Street, and then one through myself, which is Alice and Garfield Street, a 4-block area in there. And we go through once a month. I mean, we don't do it every week, about once a month, and go through and clean those streets. Those 4 blocks.
Yeah.
I would just love to see more of that.
Yeah.
You know, I want. That's my utopia. Let me just go. I'm a humanitarian at heart. That's my why. I really genuinely love people. I just want to help them. I don't care we don't have to have the same beliefs. We don't have to have, as long as we have the same goal, making our area better. That's all that matters.
Mhm.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely. And I do think that we've probably all seen it, that once you have a couple of houses on the street that care about how the yard looks, then it has a tendency to spread the same way
Yes,
that
yeah.
if you have places where people aren't so good about keeping things up, that can spread. So overall, I think that can grow
Yeah.
tremendously.
Absolutely.
So, Richard, did you want to weigh in on this? One of the other topics that you had wanted to talk about was mental health and behavioral health.
Yes.
So why don't we maybe discuss that a little bit?
Just when I referenced at the very beginning, these people that get court ordered to our town, when they ultimately leave, they just get, all right, walk down Main Street and find your way home. But contacting that medical transportation company prior, and ultimately, yeah, I already don't want to repeat
Okay.
myself.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And we had discussed neighborhoods coming together, so that we've touched on that. I think that we've discussed all of the things that we had agreed on discussing as a group. One of the other questions that I kind of had for you guys is specific to Ward 5 and the city in general, but finances. We've talked about how important it is to be able to fund cleanup of vacant properties and in improving the streets. So how do we improve city funding? How do we make room in our budget for all of these needs?
Well, one thing, and I'll get criticized a lot for this, but the uh, the use tax, in which some people refer to it as the internet use tax, but it needs to be properly explained to them that they're not charging you to use the internet; they're charging you for purchases through the internet. If we could somehow get that passed, I think that would be a pretty good stream of funding. And also with the with the cannabis tax, we could probably, if we could get some taxes of that sort in place.
Are you thinking additional taxes or an increase in existing
It-
taxes
Well,
for specifically for
I,
cannabis purchases?
I don't think we could. I don't think we could. I can't see us adding a new tax on the tax base, but just on those particular items. Uh,
Specific to cannabis and marijuana.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the use tax. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Richard and Barbara?
I'm for smart spending and budgeting. I told you in our last interview, if you could just enlighten me also you gave all the city employees a 5% increase in their raises, or 5% raise this past term, or just a couple
Yeah,
months
but
ago.
that's over a certain period.
Yes, but we used the money on the FEMA and SEMA loans. And even though we reported no growth for last year, but we still gave a raise to everybody for the city. Do you feel like that is sustainable long-term, or we're going to do budget cuts next year when we don't have reported no growth this year?
Well, we're doing budget cuts every year. I mean, there's been
I'm referencing personnel's, letting go of personnel.
right now, I believe what they're doing now, like if you have someone retire, they're not immediately replacing it unless it's a critical position. Police and fire, we have to keep those people. We have to maintain a certain number, but general labor and stuff, I think they could probably do without one or two people. We don't want to get down to bare bones, and it would probably take the personnel director to
Okay. I was just curious on that, on how that would work. But in reference to, I'm for budgeting and making common sense decisions with our taxpayers' money. $1 million almost approximately for a random road going out to Bricks for a Kid Rock concert for one time, I feel like was a waste. If they're going to be in a dirt field anyway, I don't think paving it would have fixed anything, and we could use that money for our city. I feel like,
But our portion was only around $30,000, but it came out of tourism funds.
Yes. I feel like just smarter budgeting and spending money wisely. Don't waste money. Don't give raises if we're going to be using loans. And if we're reporting growth, give people raises from the growth we're reporting, not from loans that we're going to have to ultimately pay back because we're going to put ourselves into a deficit. And that's how
Okay.
my opinion on that is.
Okay. All right, Barbara.
I'm budgeting is huge. I before I started going to the city council meetings, I was like $1 million for a roof. We could have had Crossroads do that for like
Amazing.
10,000. You know, like
No.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
man, these numbers are astronomical, but that's just me new coming in and not realizing, you know, what all these costs are. But then,
Well, you have to you have to be involved in it. You have to
Yeah,
get
you
down
do.
in it to see, because right now, the cost of products and services are extremely high, and it's not getting any better.
No.
Within the next 3 to 6 months, you're really going to see a big difference. Things are really going to
And I
get
do
elevated.
think, if I'm remembering correctly, 70 to 75% of the city's budget goes to personnel costs.
Yes.
That's
And-
salary and benefits like health insurance.
And the biggest portion goes to police and fire.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And so that does make it particularly challenging, I think.
And we are a sales tax based city, so that's the only funding that we get. I mean, you get your property taxes, but we operate off of sales tax.
Yeah, I think the 1 cent sales tax is maybe 45% of the general revenue budget,
Yes,
if I'm remembering correctly.
yes, somewhere
So,
in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those numbers make a huge difference.
So, and right now, funding's tough. I mean, we just completed a budget here not too long ago, and I'm telling you, there's some major cuts in the budget, and it still wasn't enough.
Where are the cuts coming from? Is it coming from city and fire where we're spending most of our money, or is it coming from the other people?
No, we just can't cut police and fire. I mean,
But maybe
there's
maybe
nothing you can cut.
the new vehicles or the bougie
Mm,
cameras, or you know, like do the property on Shelby, like it was just so expensive.
Yeah,
And I don't think that it was necessary.
No.
And so that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm all for our men in blue. Like I've got police officers in my family. I 1000% am there for them. Like I back them 100%. But we have just thrown all the money out. And I don't agree with that. I don't.
Well,
I think we need to be a little smarter.
Well, yeah, there's some areas that we can rein in, that the city can rein in on the police and fire department. But I would be opposed to cutting personnel. Because
not necessarily personnel, just all the
That's why I
extra
inquired, because that money was coming from that loan, that FEMA loan. So I don't want the guys getting fired next year because A, we don't have no growth, but we don't want to take away you guys' raises, so we got to cut back 2 guys.
Yeah.
I've seen that a few times working at the sheriff's office and having city guys like, last guy in was the first one to go.
Yeah.
And I do want to clarify for the folks at home who may not know, but the city decided to, I believe, do interest-only payments rather than paying toward the principal of that loan in order to help fund the raises this year.
Yes, we did.
So
It was several $1,000s interest.
Yeah. So it will have to catch up on those principal payments in the future years.
Yes.
So that's a challenge for the city to overcome.
And it's a hard decision to make, but you've got to make some concessions somewhere.
In giving the raises where there are concerns, I've also heard concerns about being able to get folks to come and stay at our police and fire departments. That we've had a lot of turnover in recent years.
And we have to pay elevated salaries to a lot of our people, police, fire, the linemen.
Utility company linemen.
Yeah, the utility company linemen. We have to pay so much for to keep those people, because we had them, and I won't call the company's name, but we've had people to come to city work, get trained, and then move on to a higher paying company. Like I said, I won't call the name, but we're having to try and stop that, so we're having to pay them
It's
a
hard
little
to
bit
compete.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like police and fire too. I mean, I don't know what the average one gets, but we have to pay them pretty good to keep them. Cause, and of course you're in law enforcement, and you know how hard it is to
Retention's a big thing, yes.
to retain good police and fire people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming in and talking about these issues with us today. Are there any other topics before we wrap up that you wanted to make sure that the public heard from you on?
There are a million others, but we'll save those for a different day.
There we go. There we go. It is getting dark outside, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come in and talk with us
Thank
today.
you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.